Now give me one sec here to find
I
our
apologize to everybody for the delay.
We can.
Yeah, okay.
We're good?
We're good. Deborah will tell us when to start.
Everyone will say start.
I gotta move our video over. There we go. I don't know why it says this, but that's fine. Okay. Gonna delete this. Going to put you all in here. Oh my goodness. Why is it so challenging?
You're doing great.
It's just
Yeah.
Why won't it let me? For the love of God, this has been so easy in every other setting. Why is this suddenly
It's always the one you're trying to do now. It's not.
taking forever? YouTube. Here we go.
I have to share my screen.
Here we go. Okay.
Right.
I'm embedding you all.
So
I'm moving you all up to the top.
Go be in the back. Norman, if you want.
Here we go. Okay, you're all up. You're going to be up on the website now.
all right.
We're on.
You're on.
All right. Hi, everybody. We don't know how many you are, but we're so glad to welcome you. And we are a little bit fewer here because sadly it's New York and lots of people are sick just now. But us hardy few are so glad to be here to gather to end Shabbat, and in this case to end this special Shabbat that we have called Ceasefire Shabbat. And we are very grateful to Rabbis for Ceasefire, where both Rabbi Dr. Mara Elman and I are members. And we're so grateful to Bara and to Jay, her husband, for having us here in their home, and to others who have gathered. And we want to say with kind of Rabbis for Ceasefire that our demand for an immediate permanent ceasefire we see as a sacred calling. In answering this call, therefore, we turn to prayer, as our ancestors have often done in times of crisis and joy throughout history. And we turn to prayer partly to bind us in holy community, and partly to hold the hope and the grief and the indignation that fill our hearts at this time of moral crisis. Shabbat is a time out of time, when we strengthen ourselves and each other through prayer and song to re-enter the work of struggle.
Havdalah marks the end of Shabbat, 25 hours of rest, cessation of work, taste of the Olam Haba, the world to come. This literal ceasefire to grace and refresh our souls is a gift from God that we Jews here in the United States are able, blessed to enjoy. We know that our Jewish sisters and brothers in Israel experienced the threat of rockets sent from Hamas and Hezbollah, and thankfully, they are protected by iron domes. But we also know that secession, ceasefire, is still completely out of reach for our Palestinian sisters and brothers in Gaza. As we end this Shabbat, the Shabbat for ceasefire, we dedicate ourselves to continuing the work towards a complete ceasefire in Gaza and to a return of all the Palestinian detainees in Israel and all hostages in Gaza. Ushafter mind is a son mine Yeshua. Adonai Hushia Allah Patechastella. Adonai Tzibodon Miskavano El Yaakov Sela. Adonai Tzibod Shretam Beteapa. Adonai Hushia Mel Yanim Rayon Rebi. Tima Taora, the Simcha, Sassobika, Katie Lan, Rositutasa, the Shamanaya Kra. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
So we thought that for each of the primary symbols of Havdalah, different ones of us would say a word or two. And so I'm going to start with wine. Wine is, traditionally the symbol of our joy. And this is a time that has not had full and uncomplicated joy. We have had times of joy, but it's been such a painful time as well. And it occurred to me that we could do a little bit of what some of us do at Pesach Seder, which is to diminish our cup a bit because of the quote plagues of this time. So we'll do that before moving on. So I'm going to ask people that are here if you would chime in with what feels like a plague to you in this time. Anybody? Division. Polarization. Hatred. Blindness. Intolerance. Aggression. Vengeance. And violence. Overweening violence. So we diminish our cup of joy, but don't forget that as we gather together and as our voices come together in strength, gathering strength for the message of ceasefire, that there is joy in that and hopefulness in that. And that we pray that very soon, next Shabbat, next Saturday night, we won't have to diminish our cup of joy because we can be wholehearted about it. So let us move to
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei besamim borei minei besamim Adonai.
Rabbi Max Reynolds is going to say a word about spices.
I was looking for some inspiration from the rabbis about the samim, the spices we use during Havdalah, and found a favorite piece of Torah, only to realize it had come up because besamim, spices, and beshamayim, in the heavens, are spelled in the same way. In Deuteronomy, we hear, surely this charge which I command you today is not beyond your power, nor is it beyond reach. It is not in the heavens that you should say, which of us will go up there and bring it to us and teach it so we can do it. Neither is it over the sea that you should say, who can cross a sea and bring it to us and teach it so we can do it. For the thing is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it. May these besamim, the spices that we smell, revive us. May their scent linger in our mouths and in our hearts, refreshing us for the days and weeks and work ahead towards ceasefire. May the taste of the world to come we receive on Shabbat, that beshamayim, be ever close to you, like the scent of these spices, always in your mouth and in your heart.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei ha'eretz.
We are told by the prophet Isaiah that as Jews we are to be an or l'goyim, a light unto the nations. Right now, it feels hard to claim that mantle. I think that for many in our community who are still, I think, caught up in vengeance, or to be fair, or just have different ways of looking at this crisis that we're facing, who can only see their own world and not the other goyim of the world. But we as rabbis for Ceasefire and we as human beings are attempting to be an or the goyim and help that we can show the light towards a way of peace, a lasting peace, not just a humanitarian cessation, but a lasting ceasefire, a lasting peace and a just solution, a just resolution to the crisis in the Middle East that has been shaping our lives for the last 70 years. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir ben kodesh lechol, ben or le'oshem. Le'neim sheshet yamim asr. In your body, let's face it, Yahweh. I'm doing Kodesh Lechol. I'm doing Kodesh Lechol. In my home here, traditionally when we do Havdalah, we say something was great during the week. That's sort of been our custom. Remember something was really wonderful. But as we go forward to this week, where we're really trying to look forward to the future, we offer a chance for those of you on the stream to think about this, something that you will do or that each of us will commit to do to hasten this ceasefire that we're offering to this group. And maybe we can do that. If you want to say it out loud, you can, or if you just want to think to yourself about something that you feel like you can take on. Continuing to call senators and congressmen.
And even show up at their offices. I think some of this work for Rabbis for Ceasefire is going to start branching out a little bit to some other faiths and some other groups of people. We may be joining a faith group for Black Lives in a pilgrimage in the next few weeks.
From Philadelphia to DC.
So Rabbi Misha Shulman is going to say a word because we start to turn toward looking to the week ahead about, we're going to sing Shabbat Tov shortly. What's going to make this week good?
I think the first word that comes to my mind is kindness. To remember kindness. If we can have a kind week, if we can remember that there's a real blessing in being where we are, where it's actually we are in a position, privileged position of being able to live by the faith that guides us to do the work of ceasefire. There are places where if you're in Gaza, you can't really work for anything right now. So we are in this privileged position. If you're in Israel, it's very hard to come out into the streets. It's scary, even though it's happening more and more. And I was seeing a lot of video today from Tel Aviv and from Haifa, from Jerusalem, of people coming out for ceasefire and demanding at least the right to be able to express that position. So if we can remember remember the good fortune we have, and allow that to give us the strength to come out to do the work, to support one another, and this will be a good week if we can avoid at any moment the moments in which we have the instinct towards anything towards a cancellation and a not listening, and instead find ways to move towards listening and opening up so that we can have real conversations. That's what's gonna bring this faster. I think real conversation.
Shavua tov.
So we've just mentioned that taking on Bara's and her family's custom of thinking of something good from this past week. But looking ahead, Tu B'Shvat is coming Wednesday night, I think, and so I don't know about you. I always think about those seeds. Tu B'Shvat is always for me those seeds you can't see, right? Like the blossom that isn't there yet, and all that possibility yet to come. It's very cold here in New York, and we're gonna ask everybody. You may not need to do it out loud, but just take a minute, maybe close your eyes, and take in that idea that there's a seed that you could nurture, that you're holding, that you're hoping someone is holding and planting. Those who were on the live stream, you may have been with us through the day from last night till tonight, or you may have been in parts of what Ceasefire Shabbat has offered. Maybe you have found a seed there. Maybe you found a prayer, a song, an idea, a different Torah that you hadn't known before, and you can hold it as a seed that you'll help to grow. Let's make those seeds into blossoms of hope and into steps toward action, so that we think and feel and take it in, and then let it bloom in the actions that we will take towards ceasefire. And in that ceasefire, may we remember that we have our hearts are also turned to the hostages being held from Israel, and to all of those who have suffered such death and destruction in Gaza. Ceasefire seems the only way to move forward and to get it to stop, to live and to breathe and to dream and to grow.
Ceasefire now.
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 Ceasefire
now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Thank you all. Shavua tov.
Shavua tov.
And let's continue our work.
Where's Elijah? Elijah.
Exactly. All right. Thank you all so much.